everyone, and welcome to Dos Latinas, in studio with The Spotlight with Sarah Lucero.
Thank you, Lorena. We are so excited to be with you here today because this is an amazing summer. We have an amazing guest we are going to be talking to today. She is the Vice President of the Ancira Auto Group. She is April Ancira and a very good friend of mine. So glad to have you with us.
Hey, I am so glad to be here at Los Dos Latinas. And guys, now it's Las Tres, right? Is that right? Las Tres Latinas. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to having lots to talk about today.
Las Tres Latinas right here at Bonita Productions. And as everyone knows, April Ancira is one of the beautiful women that has always made a legacy right here in San Antonio, Texas. She is involved with everyone and with everything that has to do supporting San Antonio. April, tell us a little bit about all the exciting things that you have had going on through 2021.
Through 2021, boy, aren't we all glad to be here a little bit? It started off a little bit shaky. We weren't sure if it was going to be a 2020 redo, but luckily we've all got vaccinations out there. The COVID levels are down, which is fantastic. And the best news, people are out there living again. And that also means that those things we do to be involved in the community and to connect really, like Fiesta, are happening now. And here's my favorite part about Fiesta. It is one of the largest fundraisers for nonprofits in the United States. I don't know if everybody knows that. I certainly didn't. I used to just think it was a great 2 weeks of partying in San Antonio. But no, each individual party of Fiesta goes back to a nonprofit in San Antonio. And there are so many near and dear to my heart that are going on right now. So first priority is to figure out what my Fiesta plan is, right?
Oh, yeah, we all have to figure that. I think we're dressed a little Fiesta. At least you guys are, have the Fiesta colors going on. So what are you going to be involved in during Fiesta?
Well, I am not quite sure yet. There are so many different ones, but I am on the San Antonio Parks Foundation, and up and coming, we have the Chaparral Concert. Our starring performer is Jack Ingram, extremely popular. So we're going to have that event, the opportunity to have VIP engagement with food, be up front, Fiesta medals, fun, face painting, all those kinds of things. But there's going to be plenty more activities out there. I am on 12 boards actively right now. So the great thing about the pandemic, if there were to be a silver lining, was my ability to Zoom everybody all the time. Right now that everybody's requiring in-face meetings is requiring an awful lot of driving. But you know what? That's really good for car sales. So I can't complain.
It is. And you know, April, as you mentioned before, that Fiesta, it is big. And just, I just want to throw a little cherry on the pie. But you know what? That is the reason why San Antonio, it is one of the fastest growing cities, and everyone is running to San Antonio, Texas, not because we have the Fiesta taste, but because we have Ancira to serve everyone out there.
I have a question for you. How did you decide, or did you know you wanted to be very involved in the Ancira Auto Group and continue with the family company?
Right, fantastic question. San Antonio is actually loaded with plenty of great family dealerships, and actually that makes us pretty unique because the rest of the metros out there in the United States are beginning to end up with public companies, right? So we still have the San Antonio family feel here. To give you some quick background, my dad started the Ancira Chevrolet in 1972 on South Martin and Flores, and he was the very first Hispanic in the United States to run and operate a Chevrolet dealership. So I do have to mention that because I am proud of that fact. And you would think automatically I would like to hop into that legacy, right? No, I did not. I was actually an incredibly shy child. To this day, very few people actually believe that. I was the kid that hid behind my mom's leg. I know a lot of you moms out there could probably relate to like the child who's hiding behind. I wouldn't call 411. I don't know if that's dating myself, but 411 is what you called for information when you needed a phone number. That was already too much connection with another human being for me. I've discussed this with you actually before. So there's two facets to me finding out I wanted to be in the business. The one facet was it kind of requires a little bit of a charismatic personality to be in a car business. And I have to hand it to Trinity University. It's a liberal arts college that I just adore here in San Antonio, Texas. And you have to pick all these different classes. You don't just go with your major. And I needed 3 more hours. And I literally looked and said, what is the scariest class I could possibly take that Trinity has to offer? And I know you can relate to this. We've talked about this before, Sarah, and it was speech, right? It was speech. Everybody's fear is standing up and freezing in front of a crowd, or in some cases, maybe puking. And by the way, I've done that, but don't worry, I rallied back, and I was also pregnant. But I did take that class, and what that class taught me was basically how to collectively put my thoughts together and to be able to deliver them in a way that they can be consumed well by the audience I'm giving them to. And so that amount of confidence is what gave me enough strength to get into the car business and survive. But then there's the second half of the story. So I got believe it or not, no one's going to believe this that's watching this, but it's true, a meager allowance, okay? I wore 5K race t-shirts. That was my weekend wear, 5K race t-shirts, and jeans I would buy with my allowance at Kmart. That's it. That is what I wore. At 16, I wasn't having it. That was enough of that. And so I asked my dad for a job, and I began at 16 years old that summer as a cashier and an operator. The following 2 summers, I also ended up in accounting, and I learned some more facets of the business. Still didn't want to be in it. Frankly, I found it kind of boring, but I was also the only employee paid minimum wage. I was paid $4.25. Thank you, Dad. Working for my dad, 3rd summer there. And so Dad, I'm out. Sorry. That's it. Enough of Ancira for me. I left and aspired to be a fantastic waitress at Chili's. Chili's still exists where I waited tables in the Quarry. And I have to tell you, that was one of the most exciting, fun jobs I have ever had. You learn a lot about customer service. You learn about having each other's backs when things go wrong that are out of your control, when things go right, working your butt off and getting a 0 tip, or actually having a terrible day, but somebody makes up for that tip, right? And so I think I would never take that back. But I went on. It was coming up on my senior year at Trinity. I was in a student managed fund class, and I was falling in love with Wall Street. This is unexpected to me. I had no idea this was going to happen. I was falling in love with Wall Street, and I was going to go interview with Smith Barney up in New York sometime in October of my senior year. Well, my senior year was 9/11. So, like many people, and what a tragic event that was, you can only imagine the amount of lives that went in completely different routes, even outside of the obvious ones that were painful. There were a lot of trajectories that got changed on that day, to include me going to Wall Street. So I looked at my dad. I said, Dad, when the economy is starting to go downhill a little bit, they say the best thing to do is go back and enhance your education. So guess what I'm doing? I'm going to UTSA to get my master's degree. Also, Dad, I want to see the sales side of business. Would you mind if I sell cars? So I got out there. I had a female lady helping me. And I sold my first car to a gentleman named Patrick Karam. I don't know if you're out there, Patrick Karam, owner of Broadway Bar. And there's like the famous Karams that own a lot of eateries and bars and stuff in San Antonio. he wanted to sit on one bench to do the whole deal. So I sat on the cement and did the entire deal in pencil and cement. He was so excited, he bought a second car the next day. He was so excited, he told his sister, and she came and bought a car the next day. While she was in finance, I sold her moral support a car that was waiting right there. And that, my friends, was the beginning of me being involved in Ancira.
That's beautiful.
Well, you know what? I have got to take my hat off for the Ancira family, because how your parents raised you, how they were with you, that made you the woman that you are today. That made you the woman that appreciates what's out there. That made you the woman that understands everything and everyone, because that's how I raised my boys. I raised my boys on the allowance. I raised my boys in understanding respect, and I raised my boys and understanding what does it take to be able to be successful. And that's what your parents taught you. And when you went out there and you worked as a waitress, that's where you appreciated that, you know what? Everyone is equal.
Oh, yes.
Everyone is the same. That's why I always treat people the way I want to be treated.
Absolutely.
And I treat them with kind, with love, and that's exactly what I see in you.
Oh, thank you.
You are full of love, you are full of joy, and you are full to go out there and help everyone and everything that it's in your way. And that's why I take my hat off for the Ancira family. I take my hat off for you. But then Sarah Lucero comes also with the same background.
Well, we were just talking about a lot of the similarities. I was also a waitress.
Were you? Yeah.
And I would not put that back either. That's just an experience.
Right.
I think everybody should go through that, because you do learn about customer service.
Sure.
You learn about, you do a good job, you make a good tip. Sometimes you do a good job and you don't make a good tip.
That's true.
And you learn to deal with people, just so many things. And now we're actually both do Ironman together.
That's
of
right.
course, April's been doing it for a lot longer than I have, but she gives me tips. I actually got a lot faster. I haven't told you this, but I got a lot faster at my running because April suggested the tennis shoes to wear.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that makes me so excited.
I'm like getting faster, and I'm almost 50, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm faster than I've ever been.
Right.
Sarah, I try to keep up with you, girl, and I gave up. Now I understand. It's the tennis shoes that you recommended.
Yeah, it is. It's true. Nike Vapor Flies, and now there's the next edition, which is Nike Alpha Flies.
I tried those too, and I love them.
Yeah,
oh my God. I know you weren't crazy about them, but I love them.
The arch is very high in them.
It is high, yeah.
So I'm going to have to be giving those shoes to somebody. I think I'm going to look for somebody who otherwise wouldn't be able to afford a pair like that, but has the talent and ready to go. And that's where those shoes are going to end up too. I have very big feet, 10 and a half. So what happens is if it still keeps raining, you can also use it as a canoe to get to HEB. Just hop in my shoe and paddle.
Well, that's not that big, because how tall are you?
I'm 5'9".
5'9". So that's actually a really average, like, because I wear a 10 and a half.
Okay.
And I'm not 5'9", I'm 5'7", so.
Okay, that makes me feel better. I used to be made fun of in school for the size of my feet. They would say that I had Ronald McDonald size feet. And so the funny thing about that is I got older, I turned it in, and I love to do this all the time. I take something negative and I grab it and I see how I can flip it immediately. And so instead now I do have a little bit of a shoe obsession, because you know what? I'm embracing these 10 and a halves, and sometimes 11s, just depends on what it is. And I'm going to make these some fabulous feet. So I do have a shoe obsession, to take control back of all the times I was told I had Ronald McDonald feet. So that's kind of how that's gone.
Okay, so I want you to tell us a little bit about what I'm holding right here in my hand.
Sure. Okay, well, what you're holding right there is my Ironman cap. Yay! That Sarah and I were just talking about. Sarah just completed her first Ironman, Cozumel, in 2019, and then COVID came, and so there's a gigantic pause on racing. But how I got started is quite interesting. A lot of you will be able to relate to this one too. When I had my son, 2010, I packed on 40 pounds. I did it primarily by chugging pineapple juice. In the last semester, I'd go to the fridge and chug. And I was ready to get back to the clothes I was wearing. I know there's a lot of body positivity out there, and that's fantastic. I love it. Your body just gave birth to a human being, and then it's ready to start again. That's crazy. But I also happen to really like my clothes. And so I needed to find a way to get back into the clothes that I like, because I didn't want to have to buy a whole bunch of new clothes. So I started doing 2-a-days, right? I was working out in the morning, working out at night. But it was nice weather, and I bought myself a little bicycle. I didn't want to just do the elliptical, so I did a little swimming. But what I didn't know is that bicycles these days are nothing like bicycles when I was a kid. We're talking like 1980s, all right? Okay, but probably the same as your bicycle, right? We had a little basket on the front, maybe a little honk horn, something like that. Okay, this bicycle you clip in. First of all, I didn't know why on earth anybody would want to have their feet attached to the pedals. This gets rid of your whole braking system. So this was a very confusing concept to me. The second thing I found out was I got very thirsty on this bike on very long journeys, and I did not have the balance to get my water bottle off my bicycle. Now, so here I'm going, and I'm cycling, and I'm like, I'm so thirsty. I just need a drink. But if I get a drink, I'll fall down. And I realized we had a big problem. So I went out and I found a coach, and he was an 14-time Ironman athlete, triathlon coach, certified, all this stuff. And he calls me up and, what do you need? What triathlons are you thinking of doing? What big races do you have plans? Do you want to do a race that's 70.3 miles? And I was like, no, listen, I bought a bicycle, and I need you to teach me how to get the water bottle off. And he's like, huh? What are you talking about? This is crazy. And I was like, no, for real. I don't need to do any of that baloney. I kind of keep falling when I can't clip in and clip out of my bicycle. I'm extremely thirsty. Can you just teach me how to get this water bottle off? Oh, all right, So I paid him, and we're out there, and just like anything, baby steps. So what you do is you touch it 1 second. You touch it 2 seconds. Touch it 4 seconds. Eventually grab it and put it back in. Grab it, drink it, put it back in. So this is the beginning of the Ironman hack. This is literally how this all began. It's crazy. So to speed things up, he convinced me to do a small triathlon, of which I did and enjoyed thoroughly. After that, I said never again. Now this never again turns out to be thematic because then I decided, let's do a half marathon. I trained for the half marathon, hoping to do 2 hours, 14 minutes. I had never run over 6 miles. I did it in 2 hours and 7 for my first half. I was like, that was fantastic. Never again. But then I sat for a while, kind of like a little lump on a log, looking just like this. And then I was like, maybe I can do a marathon. Did the marathon. Said the same darn thing. Never again. Had my second baby, Hope. I only gained 12 pounds with her because I was very sick. I had that hypermesis, something that Princess Kate had with one of her babies, where you're very sick. I had actually lost almost 15 to 20 pounds at first before I gained any weight. So it wasn't about that, but I wanted to get back into endurance shape, my heart, health, that kind of thing. So I said, all right, one more marathon. Hired coach back up, did Big Sur, Highway 1. Supposed to be, if you only do one marathon, do that. Let me tell you, Highway 1 is gorgeous. California coast marathon, and then by mile 7, you could care less how pretty it is. You don't even care. You're going uphill into the wind, sideways, raining. Yeah, you're just like, I'm so over this. So eventually this ties into work. And my folks, my team at work were hitting goals that were beyond what we had given them, beyond what they had expected. And so I had to redevelop okay, well, what am I supposed to tell them to do? How do I energize these folks? Because they're surpassing their own goals. Let's go for crazy. That's the goal. This year's theme at the sales banquet is going to be, let's all go for crazy. Do things we think are absolutely impossible. And I said, your goal is to go for crazy. Whatever you've got, plus 10 units, whatever. And I'm going to go out, and I'm not actively selling cars, so I picked something else. I picked Ironman, and I'm going to do an Ironman. For those of you that don't know, it's 140.6 miles. We have a 2.4 mile swim, either in a lake or a ocean. And then we have a 112 mile bike ride. And then we have a 26.2 mile run. This is back to back, not several days. Not several days. How many days you get to do that? 1. You also only get 17 hours. If you come in, you've been out there all day, 17 hours and 1 minute, you get a DNF, did not finish. It doesn't count. So you have 17 hours to do this. I trained for a year and a half. I did the Ironman. That year was cut short by 12 miles due to rain. I didn't feel like an Ironman. So I signed up immediately and did another Ironman 2 months later, Ironman Vineman in California. Loved it. Thought I was done. Then I heard if you do 12, you can go to the World Championships. Yeah. So guess who was still doing an Ironman? And so that's been basically my adventure in Ironman land, 9 deep. I've also started doing ultra running. So I'm going to do a 50 miler in December and a 100 miler next year.
So you're also going to be raising money. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I just love about my job is that it has the flexibility to combine all my passions, right? You get to be involved in the community, and that's part of my job, but it's part of what I love. But guess what? I can do an Ironman and be involved in the community. So in 2022, God willing, 99% sure, I will be representing the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society as a member at the World Championship in Kona. So next year in 2022, I will be fundraising for them as their representative. I wasted no time. I booked a comedian. It's called Comedy for a Cure. My MC is our favorite man, Cleto Rodriguez. You guys all know him. I have an adorable national anthem singer. His name is Mateo. He was on Little Big Shots. He's a little mariachi singer.
We know Mateo.
Yeah, Mateo. Yep. I signed him up so quick. And my comedian is Andy Hendrickson. When I booked him, I had no clue. His dad ran the very first Ironman ever made or ever run in 1979.
Wow, that's amazing.
What amazing. So the goal will be, hopefully, I did raise $234,000 for Leukemia Lymphoma Society in 2016. The goal is to surpass that, right? And so I will hopefully be mixing my ultimate goal of going to the World Championship in Kona and helping fundraise for the Leukemia Lymphoma Society and finding a cure for those blood cancers.
It's beautiful. I mean, what an amazing way to combine the things that you love to do. And when is your event?
It's March 26th. It's 6 p.m. It's going to be at the Security Service Center, which is I-10 close to 1604. And so later on this year, I'll be selling tables to that event. Also coming up will be a 5K that I am developing in jean shorts in memory of one of the first Ironman athletes who recently passed away from leukemia. But he did the first Ironman in jean shorts. It's a fantastic photo, so I'm going to plan a 5K in 2022 with jean shorts as the theme.
Love it.
Now, that's what I call passion.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Sarah, I have got to say that we have had a lot of wonderful people right here at Those Latinas in studio, but we have not gotten the passion and the love and the drive like April Ancira. What do you think, Sarah?
She brings a lot of energy, a big commitment, a big heart, and a lot of brains, and a lot of ideas. I mean, just the way you're putting everything together, and
Right.
it's the stuff that you love to do. I mean, 'cause Lorena and I talk about that. What you want to do, I mean, in anything you're doing in your life, forever, all women, men, what you want to do is eventually create the life that you love. Enjoy the things that you do, and make it so that what your work is about really doesn't feel like work.
That's correct. And actually, I'd like to add just one more story in that facet. My mom, for her birthday one year, asked my dad to donate a plot of land for Habitat for Humanity Women's Division. So my sister and I helped build that house for them, and it was a wonderful experience. And as I mentioned before, I was very quiet, shy. My folks thought I was going to be a social worker, maybe, very sensitive child. As it turns out, I am immersed in the community at this point. I have almost become exactly what they thought to some degree. So one of the things we did, and this is what I just love, is we did something with Habitat for Humanity. And we were volunteering as an Ancira group. We put the lunch out there. We're all hammering away at the house. And part of Habitat for Humanity's project, the person who will be living in the house actually builds it with you. So she was building it with us. And 2 or 3 years after that particular event, I get a phone call, and it's this young lady. And she says, I'm interested in a car. Now, I'm still young enough to be incredibly judgmental and get the whole wrong idea, okay? I've grown up since then. But at the time, I'm thinking, okay, credit's gonna be kind of, I'm gonna have to call for a favor for this car, all right? But you know what? Let's give it a shot and see what happens. Turns out, since that time, we had helped her, and she remembered us. She had, her credit score was through the roof. She had a steady, well-paying job. She had helped build additional houses in her neighborhood. She came and bought a brand new Dodge Caravan. Wow. Not only that, since then, she's bought 5 more. She's referred her parents, her friends. What we did, now, this was never expected or intended. This is a wonderful benefit of what we did. And I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it wasn't a handout. It's what United Way likes to call a hand up. That moment that they need a little bit of help. And so this is how I look at my job. When I sell a car, I am helping, say, a mom form new memories and adventures with her children as she takes the minivan to the Grand Canyon, to Colorado, to baseball practice, which is why everybody wants so much for their trade-in when they bring it back, because it's loaded with those memories in the back seat. And so I know I'm getting her what she wants. When that car is sold, I know that I have employed somebody in San Antonio. When that car is sold for that employee, he gets to put food on his table, send his kids to the right school, do those things. You get to pay management, you get to grow, you get to do all of those things. We generate taxes. And after you generate taxes for the state of Texas to build the infrastructure, finally you are left with the best component, the money that you get to put back into the community that has always embraced and wrapped their arms around you. And guess what? It comes right back to the beginning.
Mm-hmm. That's what I always say. When you give, you receive.
Every time.
And the beauty about April Ancira is that she is a giver, because she understands that the more she gives, the more comes right back
every time
returned. And the beauty also is that your thinking is my thinking, because I always grow my business by a word of mouth. Mm-hmm. I've always felt that has been the most incredible way to grow your business. And that's how your family grew their business.
Right.
Is a word of mouth. That family brings another family, that family brings another family. And that's the beauty about understanding business. Right here today at Dos Latinas, we have one of the most incredible business-minded, beautiful young lady that knows how to lead with a perfect example. Please stay tuned because we're going to have her back at Bonita Productions with the spotlight with Sarah Lucero, because this story is to be continued.
We'll have to continue it. So you know that everybody knows that we can watch you on the commercials and we get to see a little bit of your family and the kids, and we love to keep up with that. But now if people want to find out more about what you're doing in the community, is it good to follow you on social media?
Absolutely. There I am, April Ancira. There's a couple other April Anciras, but you could recognize my photo. I'm on the basics. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And I'm posting my family, the car business, everything. So
Thank you. Thank you, April Ancira, for coming here to Bonita Productions. Thank you, my beautiful Sarah Lucero, for being right here at Bonita Productions. And please stay tuned, because those Latinas will always be just like a little box of chocolate. Every time you take the ribbon, we're going to have amazing guests right here
Thank you.
in studio. Thank you. Hasta la vista.